Palestine, a name that often grabs headlines, usually for the wrong reasons, especially these days. I spent 3 weeks traveling through the West Bank in September and October of 2022, capturing my experiences in the Behind the Walls series on my channel. Now, I've rearranged and combined all those videos into one long travel documentary, so you can experience everything I saw, felt, and discovered throughout the entire trip, just as I did, from start to finish. Please know that this video was filmed before the current conflict between Israel and Hamas began, so the situation today might be a bit different from what you see here. However, I still hope that through this video, some of you will discover something new and gain fresh perspectives on the region that you don't usually see in the mainstream media. So without further ado, let's begin our exploration of the West Bank, starting with the most common gateway for tourists, Jerusalem. Being the spiritual center of Jewish, Muslim, and Christian religions, Jerusalem is the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Since there is no airport in Palestine's territories, many tourists first must go to Jerusalem as a gateway to the West Bank, which is one of the 2 main Palestinian territories. I was going to Jerusalem directly from the airport on the Israel side by train. However, when I arrived there, it turned out that Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year's Day, had just begun, and therefore all of the public transportation was stopped. Luckily, I found a sharut, or shared taxi, to Jerusalem, and I had an interesting encounter with a Palestinian guy in the car. When I told him that I'm going into Palestinian territory on this trip, he just replied, "This country is Palestine, you are already there." I immediately regretted being so thoughtless to tell him that. The countries and its territories are perceived in very different ways by many people here. He was so kind as to explain what the Palestinian lives are like on the way to Jerusalem.
Yeah, those houses are like naturalized here, Palestinian villages. Yeah. They are not allowed to use the street at all. There is like tunnels, there's the street for them. Yeah. So they can like go from this side to this side. Yeah. And sometimes they have to make another like very big round.
So when you cross the border, would you have like problems?
Like for me, no. I don't have problem when we pass through a checkpoint because I have a blue ID, but most of the people who live here don't have this blue ID, they have green ID.
There are 3 types of identification cards used in Palestine that are given to each person depending on their place of birth. The West Bank ID and the Gaza ID, both in green casings, and the Israeli ID in a blue casing. While blue ID cards allow them to move somewhat freely around the different cities of Palestine, green ID holder travel is strictly limited. So you said you have a blue ID because you are born in Jerusalem? Okay.
There's the people of Gaza, you know Gaza, right?
Yeah.
They can't get out of Gaza.
They can.
People who live here have a green ID, they cannot get out of here unless they get permission from the Israelis.
But it's not easy to get the permission. After about 1 hour, we arrived in Jerusalem's downtown. It was almost midnight, so I just checked into my hotel, ate instant noodles, and slept to be ready for the upcoming adventure. This was the second day of Rosh Hashanah, and the downtown was very quiet, because in addition to the stopped public transportation, most shops and restaurants were also closed. However, once I stepped into the old city, it almost looked like everything was working normally, and I was surrounded by the usual hustle and bustle. Jerusalem is suspended between many different cultural crossroads. The old city of Jerusalem is divided culturally and historically into 4 residential quarters: the Jewish, Muslim, Christian, and Armenian quarters. Each quarter has its sights and sensations, and the entire old city is like a huge labyrinth with narrow streets and alleyways. One minute, you are walking in a tranquil Jewish neighborhood, and the next moment, you are lost in the bustle of an Arabic souk. While I enjoyed wandering around the beautiful historic city, there are definitely some moments in which I was able to feel the tension of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. First of all, there are fully armed police and military all over the place. If you look up, you see a bunch of Israeli flags waving, and I also couldn't help noticing tons of surveillance cameras monitoring us, especially in the Muslim quarter. Both Israelis and Palestinians claim Jerusalem as their capital. Although Israel has effective control of West and East Jerusalem that is home to the old city, Israeli sovereignty over Jerusalem has never been recognized internationally, except recently by the United States of America, when the former president Donald Trump announced the country's solidarity. Even though it's illegal under international law, Israel has built a dozen settlements, home to about 200,000 Jews in East Jerusalem. As a tourist, I didn't find it unsafe walking around the old city, but sometimes it was a little uncomfortable. I feel the most tense atmosphere at the Dome of the Rock, which is one of the oldest works of Islamic architecture built on the top of the Temple Mount in the old city. Usually, other religions' holy places are open to tourists all day, such as the Wailing Wall, which is the holiest place for the Jewish faith, and Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is one of the most special sites in Christianity. However, in order to access the Dome of the Rock, non-Muslim people are only allowed to enter through one gate during very specific times. There are other gates too, but they are all under the control of Israeli police, and only Muslims are allowed in. I'm trying to go to the Dome of the Rock, and I've already found like 4 or 5 entrances, but the police didn't let me in, telling me that it's only for Muslim people. So I asked them where is the entrance for tourists, but everyone says different things. Some of them say, oh, you can find the entrance this way, but others say, oh, it's closed today. But some people say, oh, it opens at 1:30 or closed at 1:30. Somehow, the police guarding the site didn't even know when and where the tourists could go in, so I had a little difficulty finding the right entrance. One time, one of the gift shop staff touted to me on the street, so I asked him if he knew how to get to the Dome of the Rock. But then he suddenly got a cold attitude and only sharply said, I don't know, before walking away. Eventually, I found the gate for tourists right outside of the Wailing Wall area and waited in line. But another weird thing happened there. Suddenly, a group of dozens of Jewish people cut in line right in front of our eyes and started arguing with the staff.
Are they trying to block us?
Yeah. At first, we thought they tried to not let us in as a protest, but minutes later, we found out what they really came for. We managed to pass through the Jewish crowd and walked on the wooden walkway above the Wailing Wall leading to the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is the third holiest site for Muslims after Mecca and Medina. The Dome of the Rock is a shrine that contains a foundation stone and marks the spot where Muhammad ascended into heaven. Non-Muslims are not permitted to enter the Dome of the Rock or Al-Aqsa Mosque. I was just walking around the open area and admiring the beautiful buildings when I heard voices of protesting Muslims. What they were seeing before them was a Jewish group marching while guarded by police.
Where from, sir?
I'm from Japan.
Really? What city?
I'm from Yokohama.
Yokohama.
You know Yokohama?
No, I know.
Yeah, oh wow. Oh, you've been to Japan before?
No, I read about Japan.
Oh wow, this is great.
I was spoken to by a Muslim guy, so I asked him what those Muslims were saying.
Allah Akbar means Allah great. Is the greatest. And we issue this Allahu Akbar Akbar because they get in here by force.
Oh, what? Oh,
and
what are
they are just Zionists. And they are guarded by the Israeli policemen. They get in here by power, by force.
Yeah.
They are not allowed. This is a Muslim place. They should be.
What are these people doing?
This is the second day of their new year.
Yeah.
And they want to establish a new theory or a new narration that this is their own temple. We don't approve of it, but we don't have the power to prevent them.
Yeah.
As well as the site being significant to Muslims, the Temple Mount is also the holiest site in the Jewish religion. The foundation stone, located beneath the Dome of the Rock, is sacred to Jews and Muslims alike. In the Jewish faith, it is believed that the very word originated here, and therefore, this stone is also regarded as the navel of the earth. In the Torah, or Old Testament of the Bible, it is written that the first temple of the Jews was built at this site, then destroyed by the Babylonian king, who sent the Jews into exile. Due to religious reasons, Jews and Muslims can't agree on who should have control of this site, as well as many other places in the territory. I was already overwhelmed during my visit to Jerusalem, but when I got into Palestinian territory after the checkpoint, I saw more of the harsh reality that the people are confronting daily. If I feel any danger, I stop filming and just go back to the hotel. Bethlehem is located on the West Bank, which is a part of the Palestinian territory. Actually, the city is known as the birthplace of Jesus Christ and has been the holy pilgrimage site for Christians for centuries. Most travelers go to Bethlehem via Jerusalem, which is under the control of Israel. Although these cities are only 10 kilometers away from each other, access to Bethlehem is not as simple as it looks on the map. There is a public bus service from East Jerusalem to Bethlehem, but since Bethlehem is controlled by the Palestinian Authority, there are security checks conducted by the Israeli military on access roads. Although getting into Palestinian territory is quite easy, returning to the Israeli side is very difficult for Palestinian people. As a Japanese person, I fortunately didn't have a problem crossing the border, but I needed to bring my passport. On the bus to Bethlehem, I was looking at the Google Maps on my smartphone, but I got confused because nothing happened when the bus crossed the border shown on the map. I found out later that Google Maps doesn't display the separation wall, checkpoints, nor any of Israel's illegal settlements as if it's covering them up, which has caused quite a controversy for Google. Honestly, this inaccurate map caused me a lot of confusion during my Palestine trip. After about 30 minutes, the bus arrived at the checkpoint. Since it was for people entering Palestinian territory, there was not any documentation check, and we were able to just walk right through the one-way entrance. Once I was in Bethlehem, I was surrounded by hustle and bustle, and I was touted to by many taxi drivers.
Yes, brother, taxi. No, I'm going to the hotel. I can walk. I'm just going to the Banks hotel. No, it's very close.
Guided by a kind Palestinian guy that I met on the bus, I headed to the city center.
What's your name?
My name is Hala
Hello.
from Bethlehem.
I'm Wes. Hi. How are you? It already feels very different from the Israel side.
After walking a few minutes from the checkpoint, I could already spot a part of the separation wall. To be honest, it was quite jarring to see the looming 8-foot concrete wall, lined with watchtowers, cameras, and barbed wire. It presents services to highlight the severity of the political situation and the reality of those who live within its shadow. The wall is covered with messages and graffiti, many of which are dedicated to the political situation between Israel and Palestine. Some were fascinating, and others were just depressing and thought-provoking. Israel calls the wall a security barrier against terrorism, while Palestinians call the wall apartheid or racial segregation wall. Indeed, the war has drastically affected the lives of Palestinians, particularly those who live in close proximity to it. Communities that were formerly able to easily access major nearby cities, such as Jerusalem, Ramallah, Hebron, and others, now face restrictions in movement and need to be granted permits by the Israel military and navigate checkpoints in order to complete what was once a simple journey. Although nowadays Bethlehem is well known for the political street art, the person who turned the wall into a vast canvas for the first time was a world-renowned British street artist, Banksy. Since 2005, he has been painting not only the separation wall, but also random souvenir shops or gas station walls in the city.
It's bigger than I thought. How did he paint this?
In addition, Banksy opened a walled-up hotel in 2017, right in front of the separation wall. A lot of Banksy's artwork deals with controversial and political themes, and this hotel is no different. The lobby is open to non-guests as well, and that in itself is worth a visit. On the ground floor, a museum commemorates 100 years since the British took control of Palestine and helped kickstart a century of confusion and conflict. The apparent space is filled with fascinating artworks, most of which refer not so subtly to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. From the window of any room, you can only see the Israeli controversial wall, which is why it's called the hotel with the worst view in the world. In the evening, I was about to go out for dinner when I heard some bad news. The hotel staff said 4 Palestinians were killed during an Israeli raid, and some people are protesting.
The hotel staff told me that there's a strike in the city today, and it seems to be pretty intense. But they told me that I can still walk around, so that's what I'm doing. But if I feel any danger, I stop filming and just go back to the hotel.
When I was walking around, I didn't feel unsafe, but there was one unusual thing.
Yeah, this is also what the hotel staff told me. It seems like all the restaurants are closed because of that strike. I think I'm gonna get food at the hotel tonight.
The meal at the hotel was amazing, but I didn't expect to feel so much tension on my very first day in Palestinian territory. Bethlehem is known as the birthplace of Jesus Christ and has been the holy pilgrimage site of Christians for centuries. To kick off my second day there, I decided to explore the city center first. The traditional architecture of the old city of Bethlehem dates back to the Ottoman Empire and was constructed over the remains of buildings from the previous eras. A stroll through the historic center of Bethlehem offers beautiful views of curvy stone streets, sometimes topped by rocky arches, and of domed houses with beautifully ornamented doors, windows, and smaller openings.
Look at these colorful doors. They're pretty. I just found Star and Box Cafe. Should I try? I think I should try.
An English menu was available at the entrance, and I got a caramel frappuccino.
So this was 8 shekel. It's about $3. So it's not very cheap considering the prices in Palestine. Yeah, it's pretty good.
The Church of the Nativity is one of the oldest working churches in existence today. The main entrance was made low and narrow in order to protect it from invaders.
Okay guys, watch your head.
It was built in the 1st century and is believed to be standing on the birthplace of Christ. When I visited, there was a long queue to see the birthplace of Jesus on the right side of the church. The line leads out to the Grotto of the Nativity, where a 14-point silver star marks the exact spot of Jesus' birth. I was really enjoying the historic city of Bethlehem, but in the evening, I heard more heartbreaking news. In a village south of Bethlehem, a 7-year-old Palestinian boy died as he was chased by Israeli forces. People got angry and protested around the refugee camp in Bethlehem. I went there with a Palestinian guy who offered to show me around.
This is the camp.
Yes, when I tell you stop filming, you stop filming.
Okay, okay. Oh, sorry.
When we were there, the protest had already calmed down, but on the street, there were still a lot of stones remaining from the protest. On another day, I had a great opportunity to meet one Palestinian guy whom I got to know through a mutual friend. He is working as a tour guide in Bethlehem, and I was really excited to talk with a local Palestinian and ask him about his life here. He was kind enough to pick me up by car at my hotel and took me to a pub in the city center. I was quite surprised that there were pubs because I thought Palestinians were all Muslim and didn't drink at all, but he told me that was not true. Actually, about 20% of Bethlehem's population is Christian, including himself. Actually, Palestine even produced its own local beer.
Yes,
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
I hope you enjoyed our local beer. Yeah, this is Taima, which is funny. It's Taima beer. We have 2 local beers.
Okay.
And this one is Shepherd. Both almost from the same region, Ramallah area, but 2 different companies. It's funny like how they're using different cups.
So local beer from Palestine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's real cool.
So the Christian population is very small.
Yeah.
They're very influenced, like, you know, because they've been here very, very long time. Really, really long time. Like, and the Christians here are not, they're not people that are Muslims and became Christians. No, we are Muslims, Christians, we've been Christians since long, long, long time.
Okay.
So that's
To be exact, the pub was located in the Beit Sahor, just east of Bethlehem. When it comes to this town, 80% of its 15,000 person population are Christian, and only 20% are Muslim. I was wondering what it's like to live in such a mixed religious environment.
So, but like, what's the relationship between like Christian and like Muslim people like here? For example, do you have a Muslim friend here?
yeah.
So there's like no problem.
Exactly. There's no problem.
That's really cool.
Religion is part of my identity. It plays a role of where, what I do, how I do, what's my name, all that kind of stuff. But that never has determined the relationship between the community, people and the community. There's always mutual respect in the community between Muslims and Christians. There's always mutual respect and support to one another. We live in the same buildings. People use, they work together. They shop from each other. They go out and as friends with each other, hang out. So yeah, they have.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Exactly, just like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't know that Palestinian people are that tolerant about other religions, and I assume that's what many people often misunderstand about Palestine because of how the media portrays the land.
Hi, how are you?
It's not that they don't like other religions. They're just upset about suppression of their human rights.
Like where we saw that news about Israel and Palestine from outside, I thought they're really, proud of being Muslims, so they don't accept other religion. And I thought that's what they're thinking, but actually, I can see that people are really accepting each other regardless of their religion. That's really cool. Like Israel people treat you differently if you're a Christian, or it's the same.
Both ways.
Both ways.
So they treat us differently, but also they don't treat us differently. They want to put this idea in the Palestinian society that there's two different people. If you look at history, how what Europe did in Africa, right? They came to Africa, they started teaching the African people that there's two people, so the Africans fight against each other, and so the Europeans can just take whatever wealth, right? Typical colonization style. And so they would use this method on us as Palestinians. One way of using it is by showing this difference. You're a Christian and you're a Muslim. So they would give Christians more permissions. When we're a group of people and at the checkpoint passing, I don't know if you already passed at the checkpoints, and some of those checkpoints when they stop you and they see a group of people, when they see identification cards and they see, there's Muslims and Christians in the same car or bus, for example, they will say for the Christians, you can have your cars back and you could go. For the Muslims, you are punished and you have to stay for 2 hours. And it's just because they want with this idea.
They want you guys to hate each other.
Exactly. And for centuries, we've always maintained that to make sure this never happens. So no, we protest and say no, we want to stay. Or why do you discriminate? If you want us to leave, they will leave with us. Or protest against them. In a matter of ways, we're in solidarity. No. So on one side, they try. But on the other side, that doesn't mean that they don't because I'm a Christian, that doesn't mean that I have a better life than a Muslim in Palestine. Because I'm still Palestinian. I cannot travel outside of the country easily. I'm discriminated by the Jewish people and by the Israelis. Just because I'm a Palestinian and an Arab, I have skin, I have the law. I don't have my basic human rights as a Palestinian. I have water rights, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. So all this is part of the collective punishment that I'm part of.
We talked for a couple of hours, and thanks to him, I learned a lot of things about Palestine I hadn't known. I was already upset about the situation there, But little did I know, what I see in the next city will be even more heartbreaking.
And they keep throwing on us all time garbage and the trash. That's why
Terrible.
we put this metal net, just a kind of protection.
Yes. Hebron is located in the southern West Bank, 30 kilometers south of Jerusalem. As the hotel staff kindly instructed me, I took a shared van to Hebron, and after an hour ride, the car arrived at the bus stop in the city center. Hebron is the second largest city in the West Bank, and is also known as the site of the tomb of Abraham, or Ibrahim, who is a great prophet and the epic father of both the Arab and Jewish people. Hebron is a holy site for Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike, which makes sharing it peaceably even more challenging. I booked a hostel called Friends Hostel near the city center. When I arrived, it turned out I was actually the only one staying in the hostel, but they told me that they offered the guests a city tour, so I booked one for the next day. It was already quite late, so I went out for some food and got back to my hostel to rest. The tour guide's name is Hassan. He is from Hebron and is working as a tour guide at his side hustle. The tour started at one of the checkpoints in the city center.
This is checkpoint, the main entrance to Tel Ermedi neighborhood. So Tel Ermedi neighborhood, there is like a Palestinian and a settlement and the settlers inside it. So the situation for Palestinians inside it is very hard. And in that way, it's like Hebron 1, and in that way, it will be like Hebron 2, which mean like Hebron H1 and H2.
So this is H1?
Yeah, this is H1. That will be like the military protection and service from Palestinian.
But the other side is H2.
Yeah, exactly.
Hebron is split and referred to as two separate sections, H1 and H2. H1 is governed by Palestine, and H2 is governed by Israel, but the borders are manned by Israeli soldiers. What shocked me was that the border runs right through the middle of the city. The first checkpoint he showed me was only several dozen meters away from the downtown of the Palestinian side, where a bunch of shops and houses line the streets. So, can you go through it like as a Palestinian?
Actually, who is living inside, there is like a list name. So, for who is living inside it.
We walked through a market towards the old city, while Hassan was showing me a lot of block entrances to land that is now occupied by Israeli settlers. Although a lot of Palestinians were expelled from their homes in H2, there are still some Palestinian residents left there. But as you can imagine, their lives there are suppressed a lot, including their limited freedom of movement. Hassan told me that he used to live in the H2 area too.
I lived there like 10 years, but you know, before 5 years, I changed my house.
So now you can't go inside?
No.
Okay. Driving vehicles in H2 is also restricted, which includes emergency services such as fire trucks and ambulances. People told me there was a heartbreaking incident where small kids were killed in a house fire after Israeli soldiers refused to allow fire trucks to enter H2 to put out a fire. On the way to the old city, we stopped by a local Palestinian family's house facing H2. The family has been commanded to leave for a long time by the Israeli soldiers, yet they are still residing there today.
How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? I'm Wes.
Nice to meet you, Wes.
Good. What's your name?
Abid. Where are you from?
I'm from Japan.
Japan.
Yes.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you. The family told me how hard their life is surrounded by the settlers. The window that they used to see through the H2 area was welded by the Israeli soldiers, and it never opens now.
If you open this window, what will happen?
It's not open because he closed it. Never close it.
If you try to open,
I am open. This is the soldier coming here arrest me.
really? At least.
They also showed me a startling snake specimen, which was thrown into their child's bedroom by the Israeli soldiers just for harassment. In Hebron, Palestinian people resisting the threat of eviction like them usually welcome tourists to show the world what's really going on. To sustain their lives, some of them make small pouches or other gifts for visitors. I bought one from this family because I felt it was very important to support them in any way I could. After leaving the family's house, we went to the old city of Hebron, which is known for its historical value and registered as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the old city, what used to be a busy market, full of joy and happiness, didn't look very vibrant anymore. But the shops and inhabitants remaining there are still happily welcoming tourists and preserving the traditional food and crafts of Hebron.
So kunafa, it is one of the most traditional, and famous in Hebron and in Nablus. So when you come to Hebron, you have to taste kunafa.
Yes.
It's very delicious.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Then inside, I show you how we paint one camel on the sun. To make the hump of the camel
Very fast. Handmade glass and ceramics are another thing Hebron is famous for, and there are still a few factories functioning today.
We coming here for the glasses factory. By the way, 60% from the products of traditional factories came from Hebron.
When you look out from inside the market, you can see modern stone buildings standing high above the old crumbling marketplace. Meanwhile, the thoroughfare of the bazaar is covered by a metal fence. One of the shop owners explains what it is for.
This building, if you film it used to be 2 floors. They renovated and they built another one on top.
Okay.
And Jewish families live inside these houses, and they keep throwing on us all time garbage and the trash.
That's so
That's why
terrible.
we put this metal net, just a kind of protection.
Yes.
But on the other side, Palestinian family live.
These Arab buildings situated in front of the Jewish buildings are also a target for the settlers, and for this reason, their balconies and windows are protected with strong metal bars as well. The Israeli army doesn't do anything to prevent this sort of harassment or violence from the settlers. However, they have the right to shoot at any Palestinian who attempts violence against any settler, even if it's in self-defense. Because they are watching from that white,
And if you don't see, we have another one on top of that building. 2 military watching towers.
Right, only this small section. Although there were some Palestinian inhabitants left, many streets were just abandoned, and most businesses and shops were closed. That's because they were afraid of the settlers, or because the Israeli authorities blocked them for security reasons.
Just about 10 to 15% of the shops still open here. These shops either they don't have, they can't afford to buy shops in the new city, or Some of them just take it, it's just kind of resistance to stay here.
Yeah.
Or but this shop means a lot to me. It's a heritage from the family. My grandfather was here, my father was here, and I am now. And I would like to keep it as much as I live.
Another shop's owner said that the soldiers had attacked the shops and thrown black paintings onto many items 1 month ago. He still had those items covered by the painting in the shop and pictures of the blackened shop right after the attack to tell visitors about the incident.
If you look at the shop like without knowing anything, it looks normal, but yeah, it's very sad that something like that happened.
We walk through houses and stairways to reach the rooftops of local Palestinian properties, where you can see H2 on the other side of the border and Israeli watchtowers all around us. The H2 area in front of us doesn't allow Palestinians to enter, so all of the cars inside have Israeli yellow number plates, not the Palestinian white plates. Hassan told me that even if the direct distance to a point looks short from up here, it always takes Palestinians a while to get there, since they have to take a detour. Water tanks are ubiquitous on the roofs of Palestinian homes across West Bank cities and towns, to be filled when their water taps literally run dry for weeks at a time. As you can see, however, some tanks have bullet holes made by Israeli soldiers shooting from boredom. After leaving the rooftop, we decided to try to go in H2 through one of the checkpoints. Hassan told me he can't enter by himself, but sometimes he can when he is accompanying tourists as a tour guide. But many times only tourists are let in or they both get rejected, so it was a risky bet. We went to a checkpoint which leads to the Cave of the Patriarchs, which is known as Ibrahim Mosque to Muslims, and is usually divided between being used as both a synagogue and a mosque. But we soon found out the checkpoint was sealed off. In the Cave of the Patriarchs, there is a special arrangement where Jews are allowed to enter the Muslim side for 10 days a year, and vice versa for Muslims on the Jewish side 10 days a year. Perhaps it might have been the Jewish people's turn on that day, even though my tour guide didn't seem to know that either. We had no choice but to end the tour and go back to our hostel. I didn't know what was exactly going on in the mosque, but later I found a video of inside the mosque on that day. I couldn't give up on exploring H2, so on the next day, I decided to get in by myself to see what's going on in the Jewish settlement. The border divides Hebron into two sections, H1, which is governed by Palestine, and H2, an Israeli settlement. One of the key dividing points is the tomb of Abraham or Ibrahim, which is called Ibrahim Mosque by Muslims, and the tomb of the Patriarchs by Jews. It's located in H2, but is immeasurably important to both cultures, so Palestinians are allowed to get there through the nearby checkpoints to pray. I waited in line for the checkpoint with local Palestinians.
So I just got through the checkpoint, but they didn't even ask for my passport. They just asked me where I'm from, and I said Japan, and they just told me how much they love Wagyu.
Wagyu, give me Wagyu.
Do you like Wagyu?
Yeah.
The Israeli soldier was actually quite friendly to me, but I could see that was probably because I was a foreign tourist. Crossing the border in Palestine is much easier for foreigners than Palestinians who are actually living there.
So this is the entrance to the mosque?
This divided
Uh-huh.
for Jewish, this and for Muslim.
As a compromise, today, this holy place is shared between Jews and Muslims by dividing it in the middle, as both a synagogue and a mosque. The entrance to each space are different, but everyone must pass through another Israeli security checkpoint, regardless of their destination. Here, you are asked what your religion is, because Muslims and Jews are not allowed to go to the other side. If you do not identify with either religion, you usually can access both sides as a spectator. The inside of the Muslim side was a beautiful and solemn mosque with Ottoman and Mamluk architecture, and I almost couldn't believe there was a synagogue on the other side of the wall. When I re-entered on the Jewish side, the atmosphere was completely different, filled with Jews praying and reciting verses. The 2,000-year-old building was built by King Herod the Great, and is considered to be the oldest continuously used prayer structure in the world, which also has a contentious and bloody history over the centuries and even today. The building was not always segregated between Jews and Muslims like it is today. It has passed hands from Jews to Christians to Muslims over time. While there have been numerous attacks at or near the site, often targeting Jews, the most notorious event for Palestinians is the 1994 massacre. In February 1994, an Israeli-American settler opened fire on the mosque, killing 29 Palestinians and injuring 125 others. Some Palestinians even believed the Israeli military knew the attack was going to happen. Meanwhile, some Israelis believed that the settler was acting in response to reports of an impending terror attack on Jews at the site. In response to the 1994 attack, the Israeli Defense Force closed the mosque for 9 months and built up military checkpoints. The next year, it was agreed that the site will be divided for use as a synagogue and a mosque, while Jews and Muslims are only permitted access to the other side on their 10 religious holy days of the year. Neither side is particularly happy with this arrangement, but that's how the holy site is shared today. I left the building and started to explore other parts of the H2 area. There are some souvenir shops run by Palestinians around the holy site. However, just on the other side of the street, there are always Israeli soldiers on the lookout, as well as many Jewish prayers. Just by being there, I felt more tension than H1. If you ask, the Palestinian inhabitants are happy to tell visitors about their harsh lives there, but only quietly.
Have a seat, my friend, come.
Okay, thank you.
You know, here the situation is very difficult.
Yes.
Are you filming?
Yeah, should I stop filming? Is it okay?
Because I will tell you about the situation, yes. You can film after.
Okay. He showed me around the area near the shop, explaining which houses are Palestinians' houses and which are Israelis. It's very quiet.
Yes, it's all closed here.
Yeah. His little tour ended quite simply because he couldn't go further.
So here, Jewish there, I'm not allowed
Palestinians
to go there. I have to go from here.
So you can't walk on the street?
No. I have to walk from this side.
Although there are no walls or barbed wire fences like the ones on the border, there are still a lot of Israeli checkpoints, which are constantly monitoring Palestinians' movements. On the other hand, I, as a Japanese, could pass through it easily by showing my passport. The Jewish residential area was very quiet and even felt a bit eerie. Many Palestinians who used to live here were expelled from their homes. Sometimes I found signs of Jewish life there, but mostly I just saw a lot of Israeli flags and graffiti of the Star of David, the Jewish symbol, drawn on the wall of houses.
So I guess there used to be a lot of houses and shops here, but now they're all closed and there's no one here.
However, just like many other conflicts, there are two sides to the story as well. According to the Old Testament, Hebron was founded in 1730 BC. The city has fallen in the hands of different empires and religions throughout its history. Most Jewish settlers claim that there has been a continuous Jewish presence in Hebron throughout history, and also referenced the Hebron massacre in 1929, when Arab nationalists rebelled against the Jewish community after their leaders spread the false rumor that Muslims were being killed in Jerusalem. Dozens of Jews living in the city were attacked, and 67 were killed. After walking around the Jewish neighborhood, I tried to go to Palestinian neighborhood when Israeli soldiers at the checkpoint stopped me. They said I couldn't walk into that area because it was too dangerous. But the Palestinian tour guide I talked with the day before suggested that I explore the area, so I really wanted to check it out. After a little negotiation, they allowed me to enter on the condition that I walk around only a short while and come back quickly.
And we talked for like 10 minutes. Then finally they were like, okay, you can go, but be careful. I wasn't sure if they meant it's dangerous for Jewish people or for foreigners.
This area was also quiet with a lot of abandoned houses, but I met some Palestinian people.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
This guy is the owner of one of the very few shops that are still open in the area.
Do you live here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my shop.
Oh, it's your shop.
Oh, yeah.
I need water. Hello. Hi.
Welcome to Hebron. Bless you.
Thank you. Bye.
Some houses looked quite new and modern, which I assumed were Jewish residences from the Israeli flags hanging on the windows. I probably felt the most tension here, encountering more Israeli soldiers than other areas, who even asked me to show them the video I was filming a couple of times. Today, the Palestinian population in H2 is declining due to the impact of Israeli measures, including extended curfews, restrictions on pedestrian movement, the prohibition of vehicle movement, and the closure of shops and other commercial buildings, all of the above applying only to Palestinian residents. Personally, I oppose the Israeli settlement, since I consider it to be a clear violation of human rights forced on Palestinians, and it's also against international law. However, the visit to Hebron once again reminded me that each side has their own perspective. When you ask Palestinians, they'll tell you how Israeli soldiers have suppressed and killed so many Palestinians. But when you ask Israelis, they'll tell you about the people who died from Palestinian suicide bombings. Hebron is the burial ground of the patriarchs and one of the most sacred cities for Jews and Muslims alike. It's very sad that instead of promoting a connection between the main monotheistic religions, this has made Hebron the most fought-over city on the West Bank. On the way to the exit of H2, I found a little boy who was taking a video of an abandoned townscape with his small handheld camera. I had no idea what he was filming for, but I couldn't help wondering how this segregated city looked through his eyes. Situated by the Dead Sea and the border of Jordan, Jericho is known as one of the earliest continuous settlements in the world, dating back approximately 11,000 years. It's mind-blowing just think about this number. Having a significant history, Jericho is one of the most popular places to visit in the West Bank. Because it's a tourist-heavy place, the Palestinian Authority is making a great effort to maintain the city's relatively calm reputation in the midst of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Once arrived at the city center and got off a shared van near my hotel, I was spoken to by someone on the street. His name was Victor, and he said he was a tour guide in Jericho, offering me a city tour. I hadn't even checked into my hotel yet, so I declined his offer and went to my hotel. But when I checked in and went outside, he was still waiting in front of my hotel, so I decided to go with him. Jericho is referenced many times in the Bible. It said that Jericho was one of the places that Jesus made a point to visit on a trip to Jerusalem.
What? This is the first houses built in Jericho.
This one?
After Jesus came here, like 400 years, this is the way they used to build the houses. It's not stones. Feel it. It's not stones.
Yeah.
You know what's that? Grass.
Grass?
From the camels and the animals. Because in that time, no stones, nothing.
Right.
This is the way they build the houses.
Yeah, there's a door.
Yeah. Now, this is the door. Look how the gate, it's small. Why they make it small?
I don't know, because small people are living there.
No. You don't know. When they go, they bless themselves.
Yeah.
They bless the house.
Yeah.
When you go like this in the house, what you bless? Nothing. But when you go in, you come out, it's a blessing. In the church nativity where Jesus born, the same gate, very short.
Okay. Right. I went there in Bethlehem.
How was that? When
it was
you enter,
yes.
You have to kneel.
Yes.
Why? Respect the place.
Okay.
And when you come out, plus the place. Then he went to the river Jordan where John baptized Jesus in that river. That's why today Jericho green. In the time of Jesus, this was desert. Nobody lived here.
Yeah.
Only few families from Africa. Now I don't know if you watch the people how they are black in Jericho. Because the first people live here, they are family from Africa.
I was aware that some people have darker toned skin here than in other cities in the West Bank, so it was interesting to hear his remarks. Another thing I couldn't help noticing is that Jericho is extremely hot. Actually, the city is also known as the lowest city in the world, located 258 meters below sea level, which is the reason for its scorching heat. I visited there at the beginning of October when the temperature was still about 35 degrees, and he told me it would hit 50 degrees in the middle of the summer. This is Zacchaeus sycamore tree, which is one of the top tourist attractions in Jericho, due to the role it played in a famous New Testament event.
Zacchaeus climbed up and watched the road for Jesus when he came down. Now that here, the fruit of the trees, they use it medicine in the church. Now you will see how the priests make medicine for the sick people. And it works better than doctors or hospitals.
Beyond its biblical history and record, significant archaeological evidence supports Jericho's historical claims. This region has been disputed among archaeologists as some findings do not correlate with the timelines. And as a result, there have been several theories about the exact history of Jericho. One thing is for certain, the findings in Jericho shed light on the beginning of human development with the earliest settlements, dating back to the Neolithic age. Are you Christian?
Look, to be honest with you, I grew up in a church.
Okay.
I am believer. You are believer?
I'm not very religious.
I am what? I am a Muslim.
Oh.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, I am a Muslim. I grew up in the church. I've been in the church 45 years.
Okay.
Since I was 7 years.
So you recently are converted to...
I grew up, I am believer, changed my life. I used to be not religious at all. Until now, I am normal people. Not religious, very religious. I am normal. We love everybody.
You said now you're a Muslim?
Muslim.
Okay, but you used to be Christian.
I used to work in the church, Christian church.
Okay.
Yeah, 45 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. That's why I know the story of the Christians more than the Muslims. Like in Jericho here, we have Christians, we have Catholic, Greek, we have Muslims, everybody live here.
Yes.
And no problem with that.
That's really cool.
No. Here we don't never anyone say one bad word, Muslims or the Christians.
Yeah.
Never, because here they are all together. Yeah. Most of the people live here. Christians, Muslims come from Jerusalem. Yeah, they come here. They build houses. They open business in Jericho, and they live a good life here. No problem for them, because in Jerusalem, the tax. The life is expensive.
Yeah.
And the money they have it, they come here and they make money and they are happy and they have good life here.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in Jerusalem, it was good for me,
Right.
good life. But when they stopped the permission for me.
Why?
One of the police, I don't know him.
Just for no reason.
If there is reason, it's okay. But there is no reason. Honestly, I don't know him.
Oh.
I tried to talk to him,
Yeah.
not allowed.
That's terrible. Another thing that caught my attention while wandering around the city was that many locals were using an electric bike, which I rarely saw in other cities along the West Bank. I guess that's because Jericho is at a low altitude and mostly flat in the city. And I also noticed that so many people are using a bike here.
Bike, yeah.
Because I didn't see that in other cities like Hebron.
But it's dangerous. The bike is dangerous. See the battery in the weather is hot. It's not good. Yeah, it's not good.
Has that happened before?
Yes, happened, and someone lose his legs in here in the month 7.
Oh.
Here 7, you can't walk. Not me, not you. No. It's not easy.
So why do they use the bike with a battery? You know, there's a bike without battery.
They use it's difficult. Difficult? Yeah, too difficult without battery. With battery is more quicker.
About 4 kilometers northwest of central Jericho, the hillside of Karanta plays an important role in Christian tradition. The hill is called the Mount of Temptation, where Jesus Christ fasted after being baptized in the Jordan River. For those, including me, who don't want to hike in the brutal heat, the Jericho cable car runs from Jericho up to the summit, with excellent views of the countryside along the way. After the cable car, you will find the Sarandaria monastery built in an impressive way by including caves in its construction. I was allowed to film only a part of it, but the inside and the view from one of the rooms were so beautiful.
The Israeli army, look where they are sitting always.
Oh,
this is Israeli army watching Jordan's borders.
Oh, you mean this one?
No, there. You see
Oh,
the
okay.
cameras and that things there. That cables there. You see, this is Israeli soldiers. They are watching Jericho. Watching Jordan. Yeah. They don't leave us. Everywhere they are.
Victor told me not only about the city's history, but also the culture in Palestine, the Arabic world, and his own thoughts on various topics.
And they divorce quickly. They don't understand. It's not like in Japan or in Europe. You stay with her 1 year, 2 years to know each other. No, here now. Here he came and he said, I want to marry your daughter without love, without touch, without nothing. Okay.
So like, can women like reject if the man said like I wanna.
No.
She can't say no.
She can say no.
She can say no.
Today, yes, she can say no.
Okay.
But before 25 years now, if the family say yes, married.
Oh,
Sometimes they kill themselves.
That's really bad.
Yeah, we have, but not in Palestine.
Yeah.
In Arabic country in general, you know. They married the girls 14 years old. They married 14 years, 15 years. What? She don't know nothing. And who married them? Old men or what? For sex?
That's disgusting.
For little girl.
That's disgusting.
We don't do that, no.
Okay, that's good.
Here we do 16, 17.
Yeah, but it's too young though.
It's too young. Yeah, it's too young. But our problem here, I tell you why. Our problem in this culture, if the girl she's 25, nobody married her.
Because she's too old?
Exactly. Nobody takes her.
That's crazy.
Here we have a crazy culture. Like she's a 25. Women say no, we don't take her, only for old men. And if she go with old man, what she will do for him? He don't know, can't do sex. He can't do nothing, only clean, make food, that's all. Before and from the time my mother, she was 14 years old when she's married. But she died. She had heart attack, 50 years. She told me always, don't marry early. Because you married early, you are like in a prison.
Yeah. So you said like today people more like get married based on the emotion?
Yes, now my children here, if they want to marry, after 20 years, and they say yes or no, no problem.
Okay.
I don't push them to marry what they don't want.
Okay.
Yeah, and I let them to sit with the man to talk.
That's what we do.
Maybe she don't like him. Maybe he don't like her. She sit with him and talk 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. No problem for me.
Oh, that's...
And yeah, I don't push them. New generation, you can't push them to marry.
Right.
Because we have many Palestinians, their family push them to marry. After 2 years, they divorce. And what's the fault of the children?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Usually, I'm very much against forcing Western or other outside values onto a certain culture, but arranged marriage, especially with children, is something I can't agree on. So I find it great that people with a new mindset like Victor are changing that custom. Originally, my next destination was Nablus, another historic city in the northern part of the West Bank. But for the first time on this trip, I found myself stuck due to the impact of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On this day, I was staying in a big city called Ramallah, collecting information about the situation in Nablus. Actually, I was not sure if I would go to Nablus during this trip, because there had been frequent clashes between Israeli security forces and Palestinians in the north of the West Bank, including Nablus. Even some of the Palestinian people that I met told me not to go there at the time because it was not safe. However, there were also other Palestinians who said the chance of getting involved in it as a tourist was so low if I was careful.
Hi.
They told me which day was most likely to be safe, so I decided to take a local shared van to Nablus on that day. During the 1.5-hour ride to the north, I enjoyed the great view of the beautiful landscape surrounding the road, and even made a new friend in the car.
Yeah, just film it. You wanna be on my YouTube? Yeah? Hey, I met a new friend. She's Aida. Hi. We're going to Nablus by bus now. Yeah, it's a really great view.
Nablus is one of the old cities in the world, possibly having been established 9,000 years ago. It was originally called Shechem by the Canaanites, and later the city was renamed Neapolis by the Roman Emperor Vespasian. Following the Arab Muslim conquest of the Levant in the 7th century, The city was given its present-day Arabic name of Nablus. The old city is a charming area filled with wide and narrow streets and small shops. I arrived in the city on Friday, which is a weekly holiday in Islam, so most shops were closed and the whole city was quiet. Instead, I saw a lot of colorful decorations overhead in the old town. Hi. Local people told me the next day was the birthday of Prophet Muhammad and there would be a big celebration, which was a fortunate coincidence for me. After walking around a little, I got some groceries and returned to my hotel, looking forward to the next day. The next morning, the city looked completely different. All the shops were open and bustling as usual in the old town. It seemed like everyone in the city was going out to participate in the celebrations, and sometimes it was hard to even weave my way through the crowd.
Hello. Hello.
Do you speak Arabic?
No, English.
English?
Yes.
From where?
From Japan.
Japan?
Yes.
This is camera made in Japan?
Yes, Sony.
Sony?
Yes.
Hi.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I found people in Nablus super friendly and sociable. Since it's obvious that I'm a foreigner from my look, as I walked around, a bunch of people constantly greeted and talked to me.
Hello.
Hello, where are you from? I'm from Japan.
Welcome to Palestine.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Nablus is also known as Little Damascus, thanks to its Ottoman-era architecture, similar to that of the Syrian capital, and its reputation for being a center of learning. This market in the old city is filled with small shops selling all kinds of foods, clothing, and trinkets, and is often associated with Al-Hamidiyya Souk in the center of Damascus. The old city consists of 8 major quarters with wide and narrow streets. You can easily get lost here. People looked so excited for the big celebration, and some were even handing out free snacks.
Thank you. Hello. I got some free candies. Hello. Hello. Merhaba. Can I have one? Scram. Bye-bye. I'm completely lost. I just want to get something to drink. You too. What's your name? My name is Wes. Oh, thank you.
Welcome!
Some people call Nablus Palestine's capital of sweet treats. In particular, a dessert called kunafa is popular in all Arab countries, as well as in the West. I had no idea where I could eat it, but everyone I talked with happily gave me directions to the shop.
Do you know where I can eat kunafa? go in the
They go on the left.
Left, right?
Japan and Palestine friend.
Yeah, friend.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
oh my God.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye. See you.
This is turn right, pointing left. So I don't know which direction I should go.
Although sometimes I had a little trouble because of the language barrier, eventually these kids guided me along the route.
So he's taking me to a shop that sells kunafa. Okay. Oh, kunafa. Oh. Shukran. Yeah, thank you.
Kunafa is a pastry that is layered or filled with white goat cheese, soaked in a sugar syrup flavored with rose water, and topped with ground nuts such as pistachios. The shop seemed so popular, and it was jam-packed with people who were also desiring some delectable sweets.
Thank you.
The kunafa was really good and ranked as one of my favorite foods that I had in Palestine. But I couldn't enjoy it peacefully because a lot of people were talking to me.
From where you come?
I'm from Japan.
Japan?
Yeah.
You know, Japanese people are very polite.
Oh, thank you so much.
Have very good education, very good culture, and we like them.
Oh, thank you so much. I think Palestinian people are very friendly, so I really like them too. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Although I was often mistaken for Chinese or Korean at the first sight, I was glad that many people had a positive reaction when I told them I'm from Japan.
Nice car, and they have very good mind. They are focused about food, seafood.
Ohio, konnichiwa.
I assume seeing Asians is very rare here, because some people even wanted to take a picture with me.
Thank you.
It was so funny because once I stopped and took a picture with someone, there was a line of Palestinians who wanted a picture as well. Another thing Nablus is famous for is the traditional Turkish bathhouse, hammam. Nablus has the oldest hammam in Palestine, built almost 400 years ago. In the hammam, you can enjoy a great hot bath, a steam sauna, skin exfoliation, and a massage to refresh from head to toe.
What's your name? Thank you.
I'm from Hebron.
Hebron?
I'm from Hebron.
I went to Hebron. Oh, yeah, I really like it.
Welcome.
Nablus might just seem like a lovely and welcoming place, but that's not the only face the city has.
Japan?
While I was enjoying interaction with friendly people, I also couldn't help noticing the tension the city has with Israeli forces. I saw people walking around holding guns in some areas in the old city, where I was told not to film. I was advised not to walk alone in the evening, and I heard some gunshots while sleeping at night, which was something I had never experienced in my life. I was impressed that people would still warmly welcome an outsider like me, in spite of the tense situation threatening their lives. Although I was not sure if I was even going there at first, I'm really glad to have made the decision to do so, and as a result, Nablus has become one of my favorite cities in Palestine. On my last day in the West Bank, I returned to Jerusalem to cross back into Israel. At the Israeli checkpoint, I showed my passport, and without a single question, I was allowed to pass. I'd done this at many borders before, but for the first time, I truly understood what it means to have the freedom of movement, especially after meeting people who don't. And that brings my West Bank journey to an end. As you've seen, there's so much you can't fully understand until you visit the region yourself. This trip has definitely shaped my views in ways I didn't expect. Sadly, with the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, traveling there has become even more difficult. I just hope peace will come soon, so more people can experience the richness and complexity of this land and the warmth of its people.